The Tampa Bay Rays made a huge trade, one that I really think is going to be able to impact this 2023 team. Not only does this change the landscape of the 2023 team, but it could also impact future Rays teams. The starting rotation for the Rays has been something, to say the least, this season. The reason for that is the lack of starters in the rotation. There isn't really a true number 4 or 5 guy, therefore it's been a struggle with the back-end guys most of the season. Although they have one of the most dominant starting threes in the league, with Shane McClanahan being elite as usual, Zach Eflin has also been very good, and Tyler Glasnow rebounding from the span of injuries that he's had. That's also been another thing for these three guys, has been injuries throughout this season. The Rays know that the lack of starters was causing a lack of wins. This second half, the Rays have been a bad baseball team, making silly mistakes and also consistently having bad outings from not only the poor bullpen, but also the starters. The offense is consistently putting up 3 to 5 runs a game, and yet they've still lost a ton in this second half. If your offense is giving you that consistently, you should be winning the majority of your games. That is just simply not something that they've been able to do. I believe they may finally begin to change though. I'm sure by the time you're watching this that the Rays have made another move, probably an arm for the bullpen. But the trade that I'm talking about will impact this team and the future team is starting pitcher Aaron Civale. This is a guy and also a trade that I believe that is going to be able to impact this team more than any other trade. He was traded to Tampa for a top prospect. We'll get into the prospect in a moment, but first things first, let's go over Aaron Civale. He's had a solid career so far with the Guardians, but he has struggled to stay healthy and has also struggled to stay consistent. As far as the healthiness does go, he's been able to play a decent majority of his seasons, but again, hasn't been able to stay healthy through all of the seasons. He's now a true number 4 guy for this team, as it has been Taj Bradley. Bradley's, of course, a rookie and has struggled pretty bad this season, so Bradley's now going to be moving into that 5 spot. Civale likely moves into that 4 spot. There are other things that are really, really good about Civale outside of that 2.34 ERA that he had with Cleveland, which would, of course, be the fact that his age and his contract are absolutely beautiful. He's only 28 years old, and he also has 2024 and 2025 for control, so he's going to be on this team for a little while. So they get the rest of 2023 and also 2 full years of Civale for 2024 and 2025, plus they could, of course, even maybe give him a little bit of an extension if they wanted to. Of course, with him only being 30 by the time his contract does expire, I personally think that this is really going to benefit the Rays in the long term and the short term of things. But there's still a lot more to this trade that we have to discuss, because as good as Civale was, it's not like they didn't give anyone up. So let's go ahead and talk about who they gave up for Aaron Civale. Because this just was not small, right? Although only one player, they did give up a top prospect. He was ranked as their number 3 prospect, but I believe that this guy's a lot better than a number 3 prospect. This guy is Kyle Manzardo. He went into this season as the top first baseman, of course, in the minor leagues. The reason for this, he's a guy who always is mashing the baseball out of the yard and also has a super high batting average. So you get a great average in your lineup and elite power. He had a 329 average in single A and a 323 average in double A, and is now in triple A and is struggling a little bit, right? Even with him struggling, I'm not sure I could understand Tampa giving him up. I think a prospect like him could really impact your team at the major league level for a very, very long time. He moved up the system very quickly, therefore I do think that struggling is warranted and it's inevitable. You know, every prospect goes through struggles, whether that's at the major league level or whether that's in the minor league level, right? For instance, Tristan Casas right now, he was struggling at the major league level for a good majority of this 2023 season. Now you look at Tristan Casas, he is one of the best bats in that Boston Red Sox lineup. Yes, I know we're talking about AAA in the major leagues, which are 2 very different things, but I'm just saying, prospect struggling is bound to happen. Prospects fail sometimes, but you know what? It's also the potential that these prospects have, and that is the reason you just cannot give up on. So the Guardians now have Manzardo, and he will likely even be up by the beginning of 2024, depending on how the rest of 2023 goes. He's a prospect who, of course, is much further ahead than the typical MLB prospect, which is also why it's weird that Tampa traded him. I will say it's very, very good that they at least got a very solid arm who's controllable and young for the foreseeable future. I will say I hope that this pays off for them. This will all pay off in the end, hopefully, as long as he stays healthy and helps the team in a long playoff run with a lot of winning. That's the goal for Tampa. That's why they made an aggressive move. You got to understand from their standpoint why they traded him. It was because they knew that they needed to be aggressive. They couldn't bring in someone mid. They couldn't bring in, someone who is only going to be able to help them a little bit. They needed someone who is going to be able to be in that rotation, which is one of the hardest things in baseball to find, is a starting pitcher, as the Boston Red Sox, a division rival, by the way, are learning right now. Painful. But let me know what you guys thought of this trade. I think that overall it could pay off for them in the long term, but I also believe that this trade could pay off for the Guardians in the long term as well. They now have a superstar. Not really a superstar, I can't say that, but a very consistent starting pitcher in that rotation. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. Peace out.